Hello again. This is the Waterman. Spiritual Toolbox number 400. John chapter 4. Recording number 371. Audio recording number 717. And examination table number 373. Now we're going to do a prequel before we get into John chapter 4 verse 11. I started it at the end of the last recording, where I was reading Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8 and 9. Okay? I'm going to do that again. I'm not going to break down everything in verse 8 and 9, but it's just showing God's ways are far above our ways. His thought processes are far above our ways. He's offering us an opportunity in the storms of our lives to agree with Him, and a little bit by little bit by little bit be increased from our old Adamic way of thinking, kicking its butt out, and coming up to His way of thinking. Coming back into that ability to racham, to love Him as He first loved us. Right? And He loves us beyond the mere descriptions of words. Right? But it's not yet completed. It's a chav. It's not yet returned by us. But He's offering to let us, bring us up, to return us, to come home to Him. Okay? So here, in Isaiah chapter 55, verse 8, it says in the King James language, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are my ways, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." Okay? God's way of loving is, that's the ticket. That's the highest way. That's what He's bringing us up to, the superior way. Okay. Now, if we take our mind, our universe of a mind, this cosmos thinking process in here, okay? And this outward stuff is first, it teaches us about the inward. So, as vast as this universe is, 93 billion light years, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's 93 billion light years. Because that's the visible light spectrum. It just goes on and on. Okay? Who knows how large it is? Now, that is symbolic of what's really inside our mind, what God's working on. Not just the brain. Not a heart, a blood pump in your chest, and a brain. Those are organs. Those are tangible organs. It goes on beyond this. It's your mind, okay? Your mind's like a ball. And inside that ball is a whole myriad, an innumerable number of little balls, like micro balls or spheres. And it's S-P-H-E-R-E, sphere. Not spear, okay? It's a sphere, okay? Now, each one of those thought processes, God's going down in there, in the storms of our lives, and is working to correct that stinking thinking, our old carnal mind. It's a yuck. Nasty critter. Okay, let me take you somewhere in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Okay? I'm not going to break it all down right now, but just read it out of King James Version, okay? I'll probably break it down later. I'm not sure when right now, but it's much, much deeper. Okay? We got to do this, starts relating now. Because God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He's doing this. Where's He working internally inside us? And that grace in us is reflected out. Okay, now, in verse 7 of Genesis chapter 2, it says, let's see here. Let's just read verse 7 of Genesis chapter 2. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. So a little bit of God was put into that, and that fluxy thinking was in there, that dust thinking from the earth, that earthly thinking, and a little bit of his spiritual thinking in there. And the two became what? A living soul. One. The two became one. That ball of thinking is made up of a whole bunch of other little balls, that each one has that little bit of his thinking in there. Now, each one of those little thinking processes is like one ball, okay? It's made up of a whole bunch of, let's call it pixels, little dots. Basically, let's say a 1e to the 35 dots, pixels, right? Just one little ball, and you get a whole myriad of little balls inside your big ball of a mind, your universe of a mind, right? And you're constantly thinking, and there's getting more. So you can never number it, huh? Now, each one of those thought processes has a 1e to the 35. A 1, then add 1 0. 1e to the 1. 1 to the 2. 1e to the 35. 1 with 35 zeros after it. 1 with 3 zeros after it's 1,000. 1 with 6 is 1,000,000. 1 with 9 is 1,000,000,000. You go, wow. Big. A lot. That's compacted down into that tiny little ball. That's 1e to the negative 35. Now, this thought process, this one thought process, how this big ball has got all this myriad of little balls in it. Okay? Now go down inside that. One little thought process. Inside that, one little thought process has that many little pixels. Okay, of either dark or light pixels, right? I'm going to explain more on those light and dark pixels here in a minute, in a little bit. Okay, now each one of those little dots in there, those pixels, are either light or dark. It can't be both. It can't exist. It can't be both dark and both light. No matter if it tries to say it's good and evil. It's from the wrong tree. It's dark. Ignorance of God's ways, of God's love. Doesn't have it. You can say, oh, I love you, man, but it doesn't even know love. Doesn't even know the love of God. Doesn't know this higher way of thinking. This heavenly way. This abode of God. This up here in the superior atmospheric region. It doesn't even know that way. Because it's dark. It's down in this lower Adamic dust. Man-faced. 666 thinking. Mankind thinking right here. And in your hand. Your works. Can't get there. Okay? Now, and there's thought process. One thought process, right? It's got all those little bit pixels. Now, when God breathed his spirit into that dust thinking, that ball, solid little balls, into a bigger ball of your mind, and he breathed his spirit in there. He planted like one tiny 1e to the negative 35. Take that 1 and divide it by 10. 35 times. Go 0.1, 0.01, 0.01. Wow! Way out there. Of one thought process, one little ball down there. Now I put one little seed of faith. I measure a limited portion of faith. Let's go there and read that real quick. Oh, my eyes were punctured. Romans 12:3. Okay. Let's still bring up King James. For I say, through the grace given to me, to every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly, according as God has dealt to every man. That's all. Pause. The measure of faith. The measure. That's the limited portion. It's like this breath. One little bit. It's that seed. It's like that talent that he gave to him. When he came back, some produced more. And one buried it in his earth. Man, you're harsh, me, God. You're going to throw us on hell. If you don't get saved, I buried that sucker. Man, I held on to it so I could give it to you. He took it from him and gave it to the others, right? Don't do that. Fortunately, God doesn't lose none, so there is something in there of him, that light, that illumination, that understanding of God's love. But it's only a one out of a one completely surrounded by 1e to the 35. One with 35 zeros after that many. Yuck, thinking of your humanistic beast nature thinking process surrounding that dense character, nature, character, authority, that light of God. Oh my goodness. Hopelessness, right? For man. For mankind thinking, yes, no way you can come up that 6-foot step on your own. It's futile. It's hopeless. It's insane in the brain. Insane in the membrane. Trying to bang your head. Bum, bum, bum. This mental health will drive you mad. Bang your head in the night. That time of ignorance. Ah! Stop walking around like you're dead. Come to life. Right? See, you're walking around like you're living, you're existing, you're being like you're dead, like you're carnal. To be carnally minded is death, right? Let me sign this in case I need it here a little bit. Okay. Just jumped me off. So, okay. Now, you can't. It's not by your might, or your power, but it's by my Spirit, says the Lord, that He brings you up. Right? You got green light God. Agree with God in the storms of life, so He can bring you up. You can't do it. All you do is fall down the stairs. Falling down the stairs. Boop, bop, boom. Actually, you're falling down your shitter. Sin, hear, and taste, touch, and smell with your own ego in control. You gotta let go of that ego. Because all it does is try to edge God out. It tries to shut up that one little bitty seed in this one thought process out of a myriad of thought processes that is constantly growing. Just like in this universe, natural universe, it's saying that dark energy starts pushing galaxies and all this stuff farther and farther, faster, increasingly quicker, faster rate all the time. And then dark matter's there and it kind of pulling them together, but they can't really see it either. Both of them said dark. It's ignorance. What's this in there? Looking all the way down in there. God's take that ball of your mind. Look at it. The one thought process. It's like a 180 to a negative 35. Then take that one thought process, looking all the way down in 180 to negative 35 pixels like of that thought process. There's that one little pixel of light in there, completely elliptically surrounded in that night. It's that spiraling staircase going deeper and darker down into a deeper, darker dungeon. Boom, boom, boom. It's elliptically surrounded. That seed of Christ, his illumination, just like in that Big Bang thing. The thing's compacted. Now God's going to give you an opportunity. Be reasonable. See it my way. And all this pressures and stuff to change. One of them other little dark pixels are light. He's giving you opportunities. A green light and qualify. But you got to do it in the hot pursuit. All that you got to bring it in. There's no longer two things cannot occupy the same spot. Same precisely exact location at the same time. It can't be dark and light at the same time. God's offering. You gotta make up your mind, my child. You're gonna fall down the shitter. You're gonna come on up, agree with me, and come on up. Let me pull you out. You gotta do it like a widow woman, like the poor widow woman. Everything you got in hot pursuit emphatically. Because it's going to take every bit of all that seed that's in you, plus all the increases that I've given you. And in this case, it's only the seed right now. Then as he increases you and gives you an increase, boom, all of a sudden notice another one lit up, and that other one's kicked its ass out, that dark. Two in your earth, in your earthly thinking, one will be taken, one left. That one taken, kick that darkness out. That ignorance of God's ways. That dumbass donkey thinking. That beast nature. Get out! Right? Isaiah chapter 30, verse 18 to 22. Read that. Look at the end of it. Get out! You big old dumbass donkey! Right? Carrying on there, but I'm trying to make it. Man, that's. Get it memorable. It's very important. Now all of a sudden you got two in there against a myriad. God works, and then all of a sudden it does it one more time. It goes 1 to 2 more. So then 2 more plus the seed. All of a sudden there's 4 in there. It's getting to be a little cluster of those tiny microscopic, tiny in the spirit thought process. Then all of a sudden again, 8, 4 to 8 to 16, boom, boom, 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, 6, bang, it's taking over. And you're coming on up, back into God. To that deluxe right-mindedness in God. I'm coming on up, back into God. Well, I'm finally getting peace of mind. See those little bitty dark pixels, don't you? They're a liar and the truth's not in it. Make God true. Agree with that light. Let God light up your life. Illuminate you from the inside to the outside. The kingdom of God does not come with outward observation. For behold, the kingdom of God is within you and within me. Activate it. Acknowledge God. God's going way, way, way down and getting it inside you, down and throughout. And as you function from those seeds growing, those pixels growing, that grace is reflected out. That's your thermostat. If you're taking the temperature of all this dark thinking and its response to these pressures outside, it's just pressuring it down, causing it to work like a catalyst so this stuff comes about. So God's giving you an opportunity in this stuff. It's for you. In the world there must be tribulation, thlipsis, pressures, calamities. But be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world. Jesus, the anointed Messiah, Yahweh is salvation, came to show us the way, the truth, and the life. Now, I was all over the place here covering this stuff, but I didn't even follow the notes. Okay? Now, I don't know what I'm covering and what I haven't. I got all kinds of pictures and all kinds of stuff, but we got to realize God is the greatest. He's that light. God is light. God is love. There's little pixels, that seed of Christ down in there, down inside of each thought process. It's buried so deeply you don't even know it's there. Think, man, that's insignificant. That's what you're dark thinking. Those dark pixels are telling you. They're trying to be a bully. They're tyrants. They're the giants that are in your land. Goliath and all his brothers. It's a ites from Deuteronomy 7:1, right? It's a imaginary figures, that cherubim, that cherub. That's let me see if I can. I have to look a little bit to find the exact verse. I know it's at the beginning, somewhere right at the beginning of Genesis. Okay? But it's placed at the east side of the Garden of Eden. East is speaking of confusion, protecting the way, keeping you from getting back to the tree of life. It's that imagination. It's that old dark junk thinking. That poisonous, stinking, filthy rags. Isaiah 64:6. Right? The heart of man is desperately wicked and evil above all things, right? Jeremiah 17:9, right? Like in Philippians 3:8, Apostle Paul's counting it all as dung, all that stuff, that dust thinking, that darkness is like poop thinking. It's elliptically surrounding that seed of Christ in you. And there's many of those seeds, just like in a garden. God's planted a bunch of seeds in there. Are you going to take that talent and just keep it buried in your earth because you think God is a big bad villain? You're going right along with that carnal mind, twisting the truth of God to your own destruction and make a religion out of that and everything else. Rebelling against God, well, it's just nasty. It's good, bad, ugly. It's not God. It's mankind thinking. All this dark stuff. It's to keep you from getting back to the tree of life, back to God, and getting that fullness of life in God. To brightness in God. It has to start all the way down. Way down, deep inside each thought process. Much deeper than you can go. Right? Remember Isaiah 55:8-9? God's ways are higher, superior than our ways. His thought processes are. This little bit in each thought process, all the way down to that one. Take 1 e to the negative 35. Moving that decimal point from 1, then move it 35 times this way. Divided by 10, divided by 10, divided by 10. That's one thought process showing you. Now there's one more pixel. But as you start doubling, you're agreeing with God. You're green lighting God. It goes from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, 2048, 4096. Ooh, 8,192. Bam, bam, bam. It's run up past a legion. There's a legion. More than a legion very quickly of pixels of light to take on that. Boom, it's pushing out that old dark stuff. Be gone! Get out of here! Beat it, yo dog. Just beat it. Just beat it. I don't have to listen to what you say. I don't really care what you say is good or bad. So beat it. Because you're not God, your man. You're a bitch dog. Female bitch dog. Get out of here, you daggone mutt. That's that beast nature in you. It's not your buddy. It's not your friend. It's not this. It's just a false accuser, diabolos. It's the Satanas. It's the imposter of light. It's your adversary. Kick its ass out. You dumbass donkey, get out of here. Right? Agree with God. Emphatically. Don't pussyfoot around with it. Don't be a big old wuss. It's a big monster. No. You'll make the monster mad. Are you a rugrat? Or a simple-minded, immature, non-speaking Christian? No, I'm not an epios. Go on beyond that stuff. If God permit, you'll go on beyond this rudimentary or elementary principles. Right? In Hebrews chapter 6. Go on. You can't start out there. Start out going on beyond that. You got to go on. Go as far. Get it. Let God get it. When that thought process is just a seed, that's what God's going to put on. He's not going to require just here, full blast, that thought process in God's full glory. See that light, each one of them little pixels of light, when they get relit, God's relighting your fire inside, pushing out that old and another little tiny, tiny pixel, 1 to the negative 35 pixel, inside of 1 to the negative 35 thought. Each thought process, then down in the stop processes. God, man, is zooming in, baby. Now, each one of them, he's increasing it. And he's applying the correct pressure to cause you to, he's putting forth his argument. He's putting forth his case. Like at Gar, they translate this as for, maybe because, but it's much more. His argument, his case, his explanation. This is why, my child. And his intensification. To relight that fire, boom, bang, and make it grow higher and higher. Wow, just be reasonable and choose me. Yeah. Be reasonable, come home to me. I still got some of that cold, so I can't really. I want to hawk out a big hunk of green stuff, All right. God's bringing it back. But you got to agree with him, because if you don't, you're going to subside in a wave. Bop, bop, falling down them stairs. Bang, 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 bang. Turn to a pillar of salt. Like Lot's wife. Can't go on. You can't live, exist, to be. You can't continue doing that. You got to go on. If you fall down, get up quickly, because it's a game on you. 1, 2 to 4 to 8. Bam! Get up quickly. Don't even take time to keep going, oh man, I'm awful dirty, riding my boat. No, get up. Knock a righteous man down. Once he gets up, knock it down 40 times, he gets up 40 times. Gets up quickly. You're going to fall down. All right. Now, so now, this thing comes in, when this is coming in, it's 1, 2 to 4 to 8, 16. It's coming in like it's water. It's like a flood. Now you're either choosing to disagree with God, not be in hot pursuit of agreeing with God, and it comes in, I got it highlighted in red, it's like a flood of that old nasty water. Where you can get on the ark, like on Noah's Ark, and be raised up above that flood of that old fleshly thinking, and be lifted up higher into God's right-mindedness. And he's added, multiply. It's copulative and accumulative. It's bringing you back into that EN and SYN. Resting, relying in God, and coming into union with God. And it's adding 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, each thought process, as God permits, as God's working on you. It's never early, never late. God isn't. He's precisely, correctly on time. Take out the vowels out of Jehovah, and do it right exactly when YHWH says. It's in his precise, correct timing. Green light God, always. Habitually practice green lighting God. No matter what. When things get tough, the tough in Christ get tougher. They hold on, they adhere to God.